threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
I'm going to tell you right now, you probably need to pop a Valium before we start getting into this episode.
Dude. Yeah, we're going to say some words you're not going to like.
You're not going to like these.
One of them's going to be COVID.
What?
What?
Turn the tape player off.
I hate
It'd be cool if we released a cassette
We
with
should.
our with
Yeah.
a few episodes on it.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
We should do that.
Put it in your case tractor while you're
Yeah.
swathing or something.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That
I
would
like
be
that.
cool.
So, the Collapse Chronicles rolls on, my friends. We talked about the economic collapsing. Now we're talking about your lungs collapsing. Right?
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about COVID-19. Everybody's excited about that.
We just got an alert on our YouTube video. COVID-19. I mean,
Yeah. But yeah, no one can even say or mention pandemics without a little prepper paranoia. And it was always, and it still is, like one of my biggest fears for any prepper scenario.
that and spiders.
Dang spiders.
I don't
Yeah.
like 'em.
So yeah, we're in episode 2 of the Collapse Chronicles, pandemics, and we're going to talk about how these would destroy the world. Okay,
Yeah,
That
it's
sounds
probably
pretty fun.
gonna at one point.
And this
or
can
another.
be, lab leaks from bioterrorism. We're going to talk about the breakdown of the origins, impact, things that have happened in the past, and why you should be scared. Okay.
because you should be.
Yeah, you should be scared.
I'm terrified.
Me too.
What I'm not terrified of is BattleBox.
No,
I'm terrified of losing BattleBox.
Yeah, that's probably the
Really,
bigger scare.
because it is the monthly subscription box full of solid gear for adventure seekers, survivalists, outdoor enthusiasts, and casual preppers. Each month, BattleBox sends you the coolest selection of handpicked outdoor survival and everyday carry gear, all valued at far more than what you'd normally pay. You never know what's in the next box, but here's a sampling of what users received this month: the vacuum sealer machine.
That's so cool.
Food preservation, you guys. How about the Ruck and River Kusa chef knife set? That was hard to say. I said it though.
Goes in your kitchen
It goes in your kitchen. Yeah, or you can take it
Or your camper.
Camper, yeah.
or wherever.
All this badass starts at just $34.99 per month. They've shipped over 1 million boxes and one best subscription box of 2020. Our listeners get 15% off when you sign up at battlebox.com/casual preppers. Get your first battle box and 15% off at battlebox.com/casual preppers.
It's easy.
It's not even
go do it.
hard. I can do it.
Yeah, we can.
You can do it. It's not hard. So let's talk about, what are we even talking about? What is a pandemic?
Well, you're going to explain a pandemic in more detail.
I'm going to try.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the official definition is a pandemic is a global outbreak of a disease
Yeah.
that spreads rapidly and affects multiple countries, often all at once. So that's when it gets to be pandemic size, right? But the virus itself is only one part of the crisis, and we've found this out when it comes to like COVID, right?
Yeah.
In a true pandemic, the ripple effects can hit every system that modern life depends on. So here's what that might look like. Healthcare, hospitals get overwhelmed fast. Supplies run out, staff burns out, and non-pandemic gear gets pushed aside. In some places, people are turned away altogether. Like, you're just like, no,
You're too sick.
you're not sick enough.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
one of the two, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just about like catching the virus, it's about being unable to get help when you do get the virus or something else happens at that time. And then the economy. Again, we lived through like a minor pandemic and we saw all of these things. Every single one of the things I'm talking about right now, we saw all of them.
Yeah.
So it's real world examples. Economy, businesses close, jobs vanish, supply chains break down. Even if you stay healthy, you don't get sick, your income gets all jacked up and inflation kicks in, markets get volatile. Everything from gas to groceries gets harder to get. It's not good. Education. Schools shut down. Maybe they shift online or they operate at a limited capacity. Kids, they start getting dumber. They fall behind,
They do.
right? Parents are like scrambling to figure out how to adapt to the situation. And for many schools, it isn't just education, right? It's childcare, it's meals, it's structure, because a lot of kids don't get that at home. So it's really bad for them. Mental health. This is a big one.
It really
People
is.
become isolated. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of fear. All this adds up, and then rates of depression and anxiety and addiction just like skyrocket during pandemics. Suicides spike. People start to unravel long before the virus gets to them. People are dying from other things because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Your daily life gets jacked up. Simple things like going to the grocery store or seeing family or going to work gets super complicated, or you just can't do it anymore. You can't go to the grocery store.
You can't even go. Yeah.
And travel is restricted. Events are canceled. Entire routines collapse. Your daily life is a big, steaming pile of trash.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember standing around family at a distance.
I know.
Of people
So
I
stupid.
knew
So stupid.
closely. It's like we tried to hang out together and we're like, we're keeping our distance. Like, what a
I know.
weird,
It was
like,
a weird time.
nightmare.
And imagine if it was like a virus
A
that
real
was killing
deal.
a lot of people.
A real deal.
Yeah. So, and again, it's not just the virus that does the damage. It's like the reaction to it, like the lockdowns, the shortages, the breakdown in trust and communication. Did that happen at all? Breakdown in trust? Yeah, it did. All of it can spiral into something bigger than the outbreak itself. So when we talk about prepping for a pandemic, we're not just talking about don't get sick because viruses are bad.
Yeah.
We're talking about like your entire life's going to get disrupted.
Yeah.
So
Please don't ignore the fact that this can happen again. Like,
Yeah.
I know it was a nightmare and you don't want to talk
It
about
sucked.
it.
I
You don't
hated
want to
it.
even think about it,
No.
but it
It's a
can
thing.
easily happen again, and it probably will in our again in our lifetime. Real world examples. So COVID-19, biggest nightmare. One of the biggest nightmares I remember going through. Luckily, I wasn't. I didn't die.
luckily,
Luckily. Caused over 6 million reported deaths, likely significantly more.
Yeah, and that's-
everybody's like, what the heck? No. Anyways,
Those numbers are hard to
created a
get.
trust issue that's just
Yeah.
Anyway. Triggered global lockdowns,
Mm-hmm.
straining healthcare systems. I mean, I have PTSD still from this of like my schedule, like covering urgent care and stuff.
Yeah.
Never had seen so many people. And
Mm-hmm.
like you were saying before, it's like, I'd say 20% did even actually need to be seen.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just
Yep.
like people didn't know.
Yep.
It just clogs everything up. Vulnerabilities were exposed in the global supply chain. That gearbox was on full. That worn down gearbox held together by hamsters and threads was revealed to everyone. Institutional distrust in governments and science and media.
That was huge. That right there was probably the biggest thing that came out of COVID. Like nobody trusts
No way.
anybody anymore.
Horribly handled.
Yeah.
Obviously. Wear a mask, double it up, don't wear one, put a garbage bag over your head. It's like
It was a freaking mess.
Every week it was something different.
Yeah.
The long-term societal and economic impacts are still unfolding. Our inflation still sucks because of all this and other things. But it made a mess then and now.
Yeah.
And that was recent. So
Yeah, that was recent.
Spanish flu infected over an estimated 500 million people globally and killed over 50 million people.
That's a virus.
That's a real deal there.
That's a man's virus right there. Yeah.
Far exceeding the casualties of World War I.
Wow.
Of shooting people
Think
and
how many
blowing
people
them up.
died.
And yeah.
Like between World War I and the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Like in that
A
span of
lot
like
of
4 or 5
people-
years.
Yeah. There's still a line to heaven. It's like,
Yeah, it's backed
they
up.
haven't even gotten through
Yeah.
from World War I.
A lot of
and the
paperwork. A
pandemic.
lot of paperwork.
So its rapid spread and high mortality rate overwhelmed healthcare and profoundly impacted societies worldwide, demonstrating the devastating potential of a highly virulent influenza strain.
Yeah, it's a flu strain, man.
Yeah. And that's crazy. And a lot of the same things were happening then. Like if you look back and look at COVID, like same things were happening. People were still going out, not wearing masks. Same kind of nightmare.
Yeah.
But this one was a lot more potent.
Yeah, that sucker was
Now,
killing.
we've heard all these messages of Ebola. So West Africa, 2014, 2016. This one still scares me.
Lude, this is one of those sicknesses that just it scares me more than any of
Me
the
too.
other ones.
You
is
can
so
poop yourself
creepy.
to death, man.
Oh my gosh, like bleed from every
It's
orifice.
nasty.
Ugh.
So while the death toll of over 11,000 was lower than other pandemics, its extremely high mortality rate and gruesome symptoms caused widespread fear and panic.
Yeah, I wonder
You don't
what
want
was
one-
the mortality rate? Do you remember?
It was, I want to say 70 or 80%.
Wow.
Or something. It was super high. Might even been higher than that. And it highlighted the challenges of containing outbreaks in regions with weak healthcare infrastructure and the need for rapid international response.
So the average was 50%, but they range from 25 to 90 depending on
Quite the range there.
the factors. Which
0 to
doesn't make
100.
sense. Yeah, 0. You either died or you didn't. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
I hate those ranges. I'm like,
I
what
know.
does that mean?
It kills between 25% and 90% of those infected.
Okay,
What?
that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, how are you
Either
supposed
way,
to-
that's creepy.
yeah,
No, thank you.
yeah, that one was bad, and it's a horrible death.
Yeah,
it's
and so-
not like you get a fever and then
So
get
there was
pneumonia.
another disease that was was it the Marburg virus that was very similar to Ebola, I think?
There was one that was like
So,
that. I can't remember the name of that
I
one.
read a book called The Hot Zone that was about that virus, and I think I'd just been...
That's not what I would have
It's
thought
not-
that book could have been about.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a good book. It wasn't a fun one to read. No.
Yeah, it's terrifying. This is still by far one of my
That your hot
biggest
zone?
fears. That's
That
my
your hot zone? What's your hot zone?
So H1N1, I remember this one too.
I do too, yeah.
The influenza pandemic, while having a relatively low death rate between 0 and 100 compared to others, spread rapidly across the globe. And it served as an important early warning, highlighting the speed at which a novel virus can decimate the need for robust pandemic preparedness plans.
Yeah, like that's something we'll talk about later in this modern world. Stuff can spread like wildfire.
Yep,
like a
yep.
wildfire, yeah.
It can. And then SARS and MERS, we've heard about these. Luckily, most of it's been kind of like on the news. We've never seen it spread that bad, but it's nasty and it's quick spreading. Lower overall death tolls than COVID-19, where significant, they were like, but the containment and the spread and all that was still super severe and super scary. These also the mutations of these are
Mutations? Mutations?
Yeah, such a possibility and yeah, easy to spread. They underscore the importance of early detection, quarantine measures, and international collaboration. And that's the problem. That got broken so bad with COVID that it's
who knows what's going to happen next?
Anything that becomes severe, how do you know it's actually severe and before you're dead?
If we have another one in the next 20 years, it's going to kill all of us
It
because
will.
nobody's going to believe a word
And it probably will
anyone
be
says.
a lethal one.
We got to hope that we it's at least 30 to 40 years out so people forget about this.
Yeah. And that's why we're bringing it up again.
Yeah.
And it's you got to think about it. Now, the Black Death.
Oh.
This one's crazy.
is.
The bubonic plague pandemic caused the deaths of an estimated 30 to 60% of Europe's population, possibly up to 200 million globally.
That's insane.
Yeah.
30 to
catas-
60%.
This type of thing is just
Yeah.
so terrifying.
I mean, and obviously at the time it happened, we had no idea what we were doing.
No.
When it comes to,
Eat a cow
medical
pie.
care.
Yeah.
I want
There
to
wasn't a-
I'm just going to bleed you to death. Maybe you'll live.
Put this bead in there and stick it up your butt.
Yeah. Didn't make any sense.
Its catastrophic impact profoundly altered European style. I mean, it changed everything about Europe, which that's crazy to me that a sickness, a pandemic, changed the history of a whole entire continent. It serves as a stark historical reminder of the transformative and potentially era-ending power of pandemics, because that was the end of feudalism.
That was it.
That's crazy.
And we done with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Here's the thing, though. What could trigger the next one? Because you have to understand this.
People.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
Well, it could be pigs or bats. Or
The thing is, they don't really come out of nowhere. Things are happening that make these things go. There are clear and growing threats already in motion right now. Some are natural, some are man-made, some are quietly sitting in labs or cities just chilling, waiting for somebody to just sniff them up and cough them on the next person, right? And,
snort them up.
Yeah, and so the scary part of all this is that anyone could light a match for a pandemic right now, and several combined is really how you get that big global catastrophe. Here are some of the main triggers. Zoonotic spillover. Zoonotic. Okay, yeah. So this is basically when a virus... Yeah. Yeah.
You got a zoonotic spill.
You almost spilled your
Clean that
zoonotic
up.
right there. This is when a virus jumps from animals to humans.
Yeah, that's the scary one. Animals.
Yeah.
Gross.
So HIV, zoonotic spillover, right? Ebola, zoonotic spillover.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Because I'm spaceman. These jumps usually happen in areas where humans and animals live in close quarters. Like a zoo, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
People are trying to get that giraffe meat.
Hey, monkey, settle down up there on the bunk.
Yeah, people do have monkeys that live with them, which is a crazy deal. But I'm talking about things like wet markets or areas of deforestation, those things. So the risk is constant. It's rising because of how we interact with the environment. Because we're encroaching on the animals. The animals are full of diseases.
Moving in with us.
Yeah, they're sneezing and shitting all over the place, and we get sick from it. Lab accidents. High-level labs study
Accidents.
Yeah. Whoops. You're dead.
I dropped it outside on the public.
I was at the park.
Left a vial in my pocket and washed my jeans. Sorry.
I was doing somersaults in the street. It broke on the asphalt.
Hardcore with a bunch of viruses in my back pocket.
It's called Virus Parkour. Making YouTube channel.
Sorry. It's killed everybody.
I apologize. Sorry for living.
Can I have a life? I'm working a
You get to
high
ride
security
horses.
lab. I don't get it.
Anyways, and no matter how secure they claim to be, accidents happen.
Yeah.
I mean, a single contamination breach, an infected worker, or a mishandled sample can lead to something like COVID-19. And once it escapes, it moves faster than the response. So lab accidents are bad. This is something we've heard a little bit about recently. Gain-of-function research. This controversial research involves intentionally making viruses more transmissible or deadly. Just to study
Try
how
to
they
get
work.
ahead of it.
Yeah. We just want to see what happens. Okay? If you ever played those like apps, the games, this is what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You're basically doing gain-of-function research in those games, right?
Yeah.
While it's supposed to help us prepare, it also creates the potential for engineered superbugs, which is like, you know, I've
We
read.
want to see how it would mutate, but you're also creating something that may have never happened.
You're also mutating
yeah,
viruses.
Exactly.
Okay, this is I've read many thriller that starts this way, and one of those leaks or it's misused can be really, really bad. Bioweapons. There are nations, there are groups capable of engineering pathogens for maximum spread and lethality. Think like weaponized smallpox or enhanced anthrax. Ooh. Or something entirely new we don't even know about. Like a bowl of bombs, you know, or something. I got a bowl of bullets in my gun. You know?
Every third round's in a bowler round.
Yeah. Look out.
If I don't hit you, you crap yourself and bleed out of every pore tonight.
Yep. Good luck. Run. And so, like, in a world full of, like, geopolitical tension, biowarfare isn't out of the question. It's not like a fringe idea. The thing could happen. You know, it's a real deal.
You still got them stored away.
Yeah. How about antibiotic resistance?
Yeah.
Because
definitely happens.
It's happening. Like we overuse or we misuse antibiotics, or you know, in humans and livestock, they've led to this bacteria that really doesn't respond to our modern medicine. And if a resistant infection spreads like a virus, this could be really bad.
Yeah. And this gets put on all the medical providers. You know, it's like don't prescribe them, but people lose their minds. And it's like sometimes you buckle under pressure.
You do.
I've had this cold for 2 days.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to get over it? I'm traveling. And
I sneezed.
Yeah.
What you gonna do about
I
it?
drove past, had a sore throat, came in here. I expect you to give me antibiotics.
Right now. And give me some extras for next week.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Can you maybe give me like 6 months worth just in case next time I get a sore throat and take them?
I got a whole thing of Z-Packs in the car. I need more.
True.
And then like global travel and urban density. This is the big thing. Like the modern world moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you just might miss it. So says Ferris Bueller.
Thank you.
Planes can carry a virus across continents before symptoms even show. I mean, we've all seen the movie.
Just look at a map of how many planes are in flight each day. I'm like,
fake.
Like the little plague app, the game.
Yeah.
That's not even close to showing how many planes are moving. Like,
it's
I think it's
insane.
slow on that.
It
how
really
fast
is.
it would spread.
It's insane. But, you know, at the same time, billions of people lived in these like few little cities, right?
Yeah.
Like you look at Tokyo and Bangkok and
That's
Chicago.
Yeah.
Those three. No, I mean New York and LA and Houston, you know, like they're huge cities. People are just packed in tight like sardines, and they're all coughing and spitting and yelling and kissing and screwing and all that stuff. And all that stuff gets people viruses.
It's so true.
You know what I mean? We're disgusting things. We're beings that
It's going
are
to
just like
spread like crazy.
yeah. Ugh.
Stand on the subway nose to nose
Oh
with
my
somebody
gosh.
you've never seen.
Yeah.
And they're
You
just
stare at 'em.
chewing gum, spitting in your mouth.
Yes. It's so true, man. And like we're disgusting. We're leaking stuff always out of our bodies. We have really disgusting meat sacks that we live around in.
Just came.
They're gross.
Look at that meat bag. All the juice is coming out. Don't get near him, kids.
He's squirting and leaking all over the place. You know? So everybody's getting
Squirting. Just standing in the back of the subway, just
you got stuff coming out your ears and your eyes. Your butthole's
don't
leaking.
get near him. He's got something.
Yeah, he's a human. Those are gross. Anyways,
Seriously, they are
So-
the most disgusting.
like everybody's gonna get sick eventually. So
Yeah,
watch out. That's all I'm
absolutely.
saying. If you don't want to get sick, a good way to do it is make sure you're not deficient in things like electrolytes. So as people want to be prepared and ready for anything like a global pandemic, the last thing you need is something that will slow you down when you need to be ready the most. And that's why we at Casual Preppers have teamed up with Element. It is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. We think Element is perfect for bug-out bags and EDC kits, even like a pandemic kit. You got to keep hydrated.
Yeah.
And it's great for your immune
I've got
system.
him in my med kit.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
You're the man.
Put
Anyways,
this Band-Aid on, drink this drink.
yeah, just pour it right in your face, on your mouth. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio: 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. Casual Preppers listeners can get a free Element sample pack of the most popular drink flavors when you make any purchase through our exclusive Casual Preppers link, and that is drinkelement.com/casual preppers. You're going to get your order and your free sample pack with any purchase if you go to drinklmnt.com/casual preppers. We have it in all our links and all our socials. So just go and find it.
Try that lemonade, man.
It's so good.
Super good.
Go get lemonade. Do
Yeah,
it.
it's
Do
great.
it. Yeah.
All right, so how it spirals. I mean, we just talked about that dude sitting in the back, spurting and squirting all kinds of weird juices.
Spurting.
But there's other ways. Week 1 through 2, the immediate disruption. Intense fear grips public. This is when you're seeing like those videos. You're like, is that person, is it altered? Is this a real video of like collapse or like people getting sick? And that leads to panic buying. People go and buying all the hand sanitizer they can. And
Ham sanitizer.
Sand sanitizer.
Ham sanitizer.
And then storage shelves and essential goods are getting wiped out quick because people are like, I don't know what to expect from this. Hospitals become overwhelmed with a surge of patients, both sick and non-sick. So people are like, I don't know if this is it.
Let's just go hang out at the hospital.
My toe swollen. Is that part of it?
Yeah.
So schools and non-essential businesses and churches even
What?
forced to close
Yeah.
because you can't be around other people. It's gross.
Mm-hmm.
Then week 3 through 6, heightened restrictions.
Yeah.
Government implements widespread and potentially mandatory quarantines. People love these.
Oh, they really like 'em.
Lockdowns
They like
to
'em a
control
lot.
spread.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so nice when everybody just follows that. They're just like, okay.
People
we'll
get
stay home.
excited and they're just like, this is great.
About time and go home and watch some movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you don't have income. You don't have anything running. No one's at the store. It's crazy. Businesses shutter, causing a rapid and significant increase in unemployment.
Yep.
Civil liberties may temporarily be restricted in the name of public health.
That's kind of crazy.
Movement,
kind of scary.
assembly. Yeah. If you've ever gone through it, which we have, it is horrible.
Not one.
Can't even go get a burger when you want a burger.
I always want a burger.
Yeah. Cascading crises, month 2 plus. The economic consequences become severe, widespread business failures, financial hardships. Like, it's just crazy. Like, everything stops. And I always picture, like, just bumpers. Like, everybody's like, like, businesses can't move anything and things get wasted. And,
Like, really,
it's all at a standstill.
Watch Contagion because it shows a lot of this.
It does.
It's such a good movie.
It is a great movie.
It's a great film.
So social isolation and fear contribute to significant mental health crises. And then it's like, I mean, just alone, I think it's like billions that is lost because of mental health problems. Compound that by the pandemic. Like, people aren't going back to work because of the mental health that's worsened. political divisions may deepen or over response measures and blame.
Would that happen?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
What party's in control during this pandemic? I hate them.
And even the one that's not in control, I hate
Yeah,
them
it's
too.
it's like back and forth. It just creates a bigger divide.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Public trust in institutions, government, health organizations. I can totally understand this because we witnessed like the nightmare communication to the public.
What a mess it was. What a freaking mess.
Seriously. Declines due to perceived failures and inconsistencies. It's not necessarily that people just don't want to listen and follow. It's like you don't know what to follow. You don't know what to believe.
It was such a mess for even you and I trying to like give information because it was like we didn't know what to believe, where to get the information, what information was good.
Wear a mask by the first part of the episode, and then the end, it's like, I guess that's been removed.
You're going to die if you wear a mask.
Actually, you're supposed to double up, triple up, wear underwear, 4 underwear.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
And then the long-term impacts, ongoing debates, potential resistance to vaccines, getting vaccines after you've listened to a government that didn't know anything.
This vaccine has a lot of fishy things about it, right? Like,
and it's a pushed vaccine.
Yeah.
You can't test anything. So it's like...
And then... Like, you had to take the vaccine half the time to keep your job or to
go to a restaurant.
it was, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know.
And I'm not saying like the vaccine is a bad idea. It was the only response, like in a way, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. I know there's controversial stuff with this, but it's like that's the thing that you would hope is like we develop something to stop the virus so that we can go back to normal. But at the same time, the way that it's handled
not great.
is massively important. Permanent shifts in how occur in how people work remote and want to go back after this is over, and then school attendance and travel, societal norms and behaviors are fundamentally altered.
Yeah, I think the school thing is kind of underlooked at times because I think we're gonna have like a generation of kids who are kind of screwed up from
they already
those
are right
few
now
years
from
of school,
like the anxiety problems because of the pandemic. Exists.
When you don't learn as well when you're at home on a computer, just don't, and so, boy, what a mess.
Yeah, my boys have, full on ADD, just like myself. And they like online learning just doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
Like some people can do really well with it, and others can't. And so when it's forced, it's like even worse.
What do you do? Yeah, exactly.
As a parent, you go crazy.
Yeah. So what is our response plan preparing for a pandemic? And it goes beyond.
This is the important part.
Yeah, it goes beyond the basic supplies, but you need to worry about those. It's kind of like a holistic approach to ensure like your safety, your health, your resilience in this. So let's look at some things. In medical supplies, obviously, are at the top of the list. You have to have these things. Even though like these masks have been a bit demonized, they are helpful in a lot of situations when it comes to a pandemic. But you got to have like the N95, right? Yeah. You've got to have those ones that actually are very helpful.
They've been developed and they're used in surgery. Masks help protect from a lot of things.
Yes.
People are like abandoning them completely. Don't do that.
These are good to have on hand. N95, obviously don't get like just a bandana or whatever. That's not going to help you. You need to have like these masks. Disposable gloves. These masks. Just like these nuts. Disposable gloves, like nitrile gloves, they're obviously really good for this. They're durable and they're resistant to chemicals and viruses and all that kind of stuff. Face shields or goggles. You don't want people puking in your eyes. You know what I mean? Or sneezing in your face. You can have that
Boils
stuff.
spurting in your
oh yeah,
in your mouth.
Hemorrhoids spurting in your face. You don't want that. It's bad.
You absolutely do not want that.
So be careful. You have some goggles if you're going to go down there.
If you're going to go down there.
Sanitation and hygiene. Huge. Hand sanitizer. You couldn't buy hand sanitizer for a while there. What were all the memes of like the owners of Purell just with all their like gold and stuff, have some hand sanitizer. Sure, it has at least 60% alcohol. Then you can drink it too and get through the thing. Disinfectant wipes and sprays, obviously huge to keep things clean and whatnot. Soap and water. Have some of that on hand.
Yeah.
washing your hands is the most effective thing you can do for all of this stuff.
Hands are the most disgusting thing on the planet.
Oh, yeah, they're gross.
And so, if you can clean those up, you're probably going to stop a lot.
You're touching so much disgusting stuff every single day. And then you're like picking your nose and you're picking your teeth. And, and you're playing with your corn nub on your tongue. So, I told you I was going to fit it in there. So let's talk about some medical equipment. That's an inside joke. Some medical equipment that you could look at. Digital thermometer.
Absolutely.
You got to have those. Mine break after about a week, but you got to have some. Or you'll lose it. You don't know where they're at. I don't know.
Our medicine thing's like up high, and so it just comes out and just
it breaks.
Shattered. We've had a ton of those break.
Pulse oximeter.
Yes.
This will measure your blood oxygen levels.
Yeah.
This is great to make sure.
Because you're going to be doing, like, during the pandemic, most visits were done at home. So it's like, if you can give us or medical providers and stuff more information from at home and know how to use that stuff, it's hugely important.
That's great. Yeah, you can just do your telehealth thing and good to go,
yeah,
right?
You don't have to go anywhere.
That's great. I love that. If I don't have to go anywhere, I'm a happy camper.
Right.
Yeah. First aid kit. Obviously, you have to have one of these. You got to have bandages. You got to have antiseptic wipes and whatnot, tweezers, scissors, medical tape. I don't know, suture, anything else you might want or need in there is very important to have through a pandemic. One of the biggest things that we stress for any of these situations is having 30 days at least of prescription medications, especially those that keep you alive. If you can't take it, you're going to die. You need to have a very good plan. And through a pandemic, we saw how supply chains got jacked up and you couldn't go to the store and all that stuff. So having a 30-day supply could save your bacon and save your life, really, when it comes down to it. Very important.
Yeah. Go in to get your blood pressure medicine and pick up a pandemic virus.
Yeah.
Stupid.
It was really stupid. Really stupid. Over-the-counter medications. We even saw that this stuff was crazy to get.
Yeah, ibuprofen was wiped out.
Yeah, and so you want to have that kind of stuff, even if it's just like cold medicine, antidiarrheals, multivitamins, all that stuff. Have extra stuff stocked at home. Very, very important.
Very important.
And thinking about your home, you should have a setup in case somebody does get sick. And you hope that doesn't happen, but you want to have a place where you can isolate these people so that everybody doesn't get sick. It's super important. So have like a designated sick room, identify a separate room for isolating sick individuals. You don't want them just like sitting in the bathroom, sitting in the kitchen, on the stove, on the toilet, in the front room.
Over the keyboard.
Exactly, yeah. You want them in one room so that place stays contaminated, not everywhere else. But you also want to have really good ventilation. You want proper airflow. And then if you can, use HEPA filters to help filter out all that junk that they're excreting from their body that's disgusting. And then you can equip that room with like a phone or intercom system so you're not in there like right in their face. How you doing, buddy? You can, are you dying yet? Or you don't have to go in there like every 10 minutes to make sure they're good.
Yeah.
And then you obviously have to be very sanitary when it comes to this. You need to have some dedicated cleaning supplies to prevent cross-contamination. You don't want to like clean your bathroom or like your dishes with the same thing that you're cleaning their puke and poop up in their room. Have separate stuff. It's very important.
Don't have that Tupperware bowl.
No.
That you've been using for soaking your feet,
exactly.
puking into,
yeah.
and eating popcorn the next night.
Yeah. You get a different one.
My mom had that.
I had that. I still have that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Laundry protocols are really important too. Use gloves when handling their disgusting underwear or whatever from that sick individual. Wash those items using the warmest appropriate water setting. Warmest, hottest. Get that hot. Okay, not just
I don't want them to shrink.
I just want it warm.
I know it just sterilized, but I don't want them shrunk.
I don't want them to shrink. And then food storage, very important. Canned goods, dried fruits, nuts, pasta, rice, all that stuff, very important. If you have special dietary
going to get
needs,
that stuff, you're going to get super sick.
Yeah, so. I'm just here to get my pistachios. No.
I'd go out to get those.
You're going to get COVID and nuts.
I'd risk it for pistachios.
Yeah, I'd risk it for a biscuit, he said. And if you have special dietary needs, obviously think about that. And then your pets have to eat. You got to be careful with that. You got to make sure they got food. So have that on hand. And your water,
because they might become food.
They might become food. My daughter asked me this yesterday. Weird. Would you eat Robo if it was an apocalypse? She's so weird sometimes. I would not. I would not eat my dog.
I know. I don't think you could do it.
I've had him for too long.
Yeah.
11 years or so. Water supply, very important. Have at least 1 gallon a person per day for a minimum of 3 days. And like this is the absolute bare minimum, you guys. But you got to have more. Go for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Have
when
2
you
weeks.
are sick, man, you are just spilling fluids out of every orifice.
Yeah.
You got to have, like you said, bare minimum.
Bare minimum. You need stuff
I think
for
1
cleaning.
gallon's over even what's recommended on like CDC.
It is,
which is
got
got to get that gallon.
But also, like, you need to rehydrate. Like, just water alone is not going to rehydrate you.
No.
So you can either make like your rehydration solutions or whatever, or just get something like Element. It does the exact same thing. And then have purification tablets or filters on hand in case this pandemic gets wild, And then household essentials like bleach and detergents, and disinfectants and toilet paper and feminine products and diapers and soap and all that stuff. You have to have that on hand. We talked pretty extensively about what could happen if this pandemic got pretty bad. And one of those things is you might have to start working from home if you still have a job. We saw so many people had to do this during COVID, right? And so like making sure that you have your house set up so this can happen, I think is a great idea.
It is a good
Have
idea.
a reliable internet connection, right? And
Know how to use it. Like,
how
there's
to
just
use
like...
it. Exactly.
Good thing my parents weren't working like in any kind of business.
I know. It's like my parents did the same thing. Our internet wasn't working. Well, did you try resetting your router? I don't know. You know what I mean?
What's a router?
What do you mean? No.
Yeah.
Understand how to use it. And then consider backup options like mobile hotspots or even things like, Starlink can help you get that stuff backed up. And then hardware, and then make sure you have a functioning computer and a webcam and a headset and understand how to use that kind of software for that kind of stuff. And then financial planning for those situations. Aim to have at least 3 months of expenses. I know that's like near impossible for most people, but try. Get as close as you can, right? Because the most Americans can't afford $1,000. Like the majority, I think, was it 60% of Americans can't afford $1,000.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of you listening, like, well, that's impossible. I can't get 3 months. It's just, I get it. Try and start with 500. Move up. Try and get to 1,000.
Last week, you should have some after we set that goal.
Exactly. You should. If you're listening to us, but try because it's going to be really big for a pandemic scenario. It's going to be really important. And this is the thing, too, that is so important that we really found out with COVID. Mental health and social connection. They are so important in these situations. Try and maintain a daily schedule to provide some sort of structure for you. And I'm not saying like I sit on a couch from 8 to 1 and then I get up and then I get back from 2 to 10. No, you need to have a routine and you need to be doing things. You need to have some physical activity that you incorporate. Regular exercise boost your mood and your health. Get that blood flowing. And engage in things that bring joy and relaxation, hobbies. Like, don't just sit there and pout and mope about the virus.
There's a lot of that happened.
Exactly. And then keep that social connectivity. Regularly check in with your family and your friends, the ones that you like anyways. And you can even join online support communities or groups, things like that. Obviously, a communication plan is huge here. Go get your Mad Gear planner. Make sure that thing is filled out for a pandemic.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So
on your phone and hard copy.
Yeah, exactly.
They make both.
Yeah, and make sure that you're understanding where to get the best information possible. Local health updates I think are probably the most important, but you can look at things like the CDC. I know, that can give you some of that information as well. But just be really cautious about unverified information.
Yeah.
Also, be very cautious about verified information and like unofficial information because a lot of times that's garbage too. And then, have a plan for your family, like who's going to be the primary caregiver if they're sick individuals, who's going to monitor and restock supplies, and do you have an evacuation plan if things get super bonkers and you just need to get out of town because of this pandemic, because it's going to be very, very important to understand that. And then the other basic stuff that we talk about all the time, power and lighting. Communication tools like radios and walkie-talkies could be very important. Having other documentation like medical records and IDs and insurance policies and emergency contacts are all very important in these situations as well. Just really going back to the
record.
vaccination
crazy.
record.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
He's crazy.
Crazy, man. And a lot of times that stuff can be on your phone, vaccination records. So it's good to have, but it's also good to have a hard copy at the house that you keep in the microwave next to your ones and $1 bills.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
No,
anyways.
man, all that stuff's super important. Like that's the key stuff that we want you to know. Like the other parts are just like scaring you so that you can follow these rules.
Exactly. Yeah.
But listen, today's podcast is brought to you by Tac Pack, the only tactical subscription box with useful professional grade stuff inside. Use code Casual Preppers and get a free $70 machine-made part from Next Level Armament.
That's rad.
Pretty easy. They got good stuff all the time.
They really do.
But listen, I do have a challenge for you all. Taking some of those things that Kobe talked about, do it this week. So this week's challenge is to build, review, and update your home medical kit to include some pandemic supplies. So I always probably one of the key things is having, which a lot of these kits don't have, is personal protective equipment. Yeah. So a mask, N95's best, gloves, face gear, and then disinfectants so you can sterilize everything. Yeah. Whether it be bleach, alcohol, both, hand sanitizer, stuff like that.
Steel-toed boots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then having items to check and monitor vitals that can be helpful for televisits. They can be helpful for you and taking care of your family. Thermometer, pulse oximeter, and things like that. Yeah. And then your over-the-counter meds. Stock up on them. Have fever, pain, cough, and stomach medicine. Make sure that they're current because half the ones in my cabinet I noticed were 2017. And then a vaccine card that's up to date. It may not be specific to the vaccine related to the pandemic, but they want to. There might be a time when they're like, we want to know all of your vaccines, or you can't come in and get SpaghettiOs
or spaghetti.
And plastic quarantine supplies. So all that stuff is super helpful, and I think you can make sure your medical kit is stocked with those things. Yeah, and then have a plan. You had mentioned it, like a pandemic plan. Who isolates where? Yeah. Where you would do it if someone, or what you would do if someone got sick. It's a little bit chaotic anyway, but if you have this plan in place, it's like they might be sick. Let's keep them in this room, shut off all oxygen and all air, and see what happens.
Don't talk to them.
Yeah. And then how would you handle a 30-day lockdown?
Oh,
financial handling of it, food and water at home, entertainment for your kids. I know this is a lot for a challenge, but basically look at your home medical kit to include pandemic supplies, and then consider what would happen if your family gets sick and you're in on a lockdown. That's what I would say.
I mean, if you really were watching the news and they're like, we're having a 30-day lockdown, can you imagine the reality
30-day
of
lockdown?
that? I remember when was it March of 2020 when stuff just hit hard for COVID, and they're like, we're closing schools, and it was scary. You panic, right?
You do.
So imagine a real virus that's really killing people at a big 25 to 90% rate, something like that. The reality of that's going to hit.
Just bouncing around in your mind.
Just
of what that could possibly be.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's insanely scary.
I don't want to.
I don't want to either. Well, that's it, guys. That is a pandemic. Take that home with you. Struggle with it.
Swear words.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening, and stay survived.